That's great. And like Kev's like, I'm passing him deals, 12 units. He's underwriting them. Like, it's like if I had the kind of network that we have here in Halifax when I was 21, God knows where I'd be. I wouldn't be in Halifax right now. That's
Oh
for
my.
sure. Welcome to another episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast. It's Manny here with my co-host Ian. Janelle is sadly out this week. She's not feeling very well. But this week we have an exciting one. Ian has a very cool deal underway here in Halifax that we're going to dive into. But before we get into all of that, I would just like to say, please like and subscribe if you like the podcasts that we're releasing, if you're getting any value from us. And reach out, let us know what you think, ask questions. We're very, very reachable on Instagram, me on TikTok, but we'll get into that later. But before we dive into it fully, Ian, what's going on, man? How's life?
Life is good. So yeah, we'll get into the larger news here shortly. So yeah, just closed on a new property. So we'll go in some of the details with that. But then also some updates. I know we had mentioned that we were potentially interested in selling one of our buildings, but that building has taken an absolute turn for the better. And that's in our success with dealing with some of the tenants that are in there. So I forget if we've mentioned on the show or not, but I'll just back up, give the story a little further. So we originally filed for, I believe it's Form Ks or Form Js, one of the two, to do the renoviction, and we actually lost those cases through the tenancy hearings, and then they went to small claims court, and we had actually lost those as well because we didn't have an electrical permit pulled. We had our building permits, everything else, but they ruled that because we didn't have all the permits pulled, that they didn't have to grant us a win on that one. So that one that definitely stung a little bit, but we kept on with that. We had another hearing for another tenant, and we had the electrical permit this time. That was pretty much the only difference. So we still had the full building permit, the electrical permit, and we actually ended up winning that case. So that news has spread to some of the other tenants in the building, and now everyone seems to be a lot more keen to negotiate with us. So we've had some that have already decided they're just going to move out, and now we have some others that now we're negotiating like a cash for keys, and yeah, it's really turned around here in the last like 3 or 4 weeks or so. So we actually got rid of our property managers. Janelle and I have split duties with the property management on this building, and a lot of that's just been chatting with the tenants and coming to what ultimately amounts as a win-win, because if we just go through the normal courtway system, they get 3 months rent, six, seven, $750, that type deal. Whereas what we're trying to offer them is a good chunk more, as well as we're helping them find other places to live. So now the ones that have lost through the small claims court, they're now responsible to find their own. They're only getting the 3 months at that less rate. Basically, they have a lot more work that they have to do themselves. So again, we're not just trying to kick people out, all this and that. We are trying to come to a win-win situation. And now with a win through the court system, they're now, like I mentioned, a lot more eager to negotiate. So yeah, that building is really coming around.
That is amazing. And I remember when you guys were trying to sell it. Now the fact that you have some vacant units, like the value of this building, if you were to even consider selling it, like we were talking about just a few minutes ago, price has gone up. It's crazy how just a couple of vacant units can add hundreds of thousands of dollars of value, just because dealing with tenants in Nova Scotia right now, especially in HRM, it is a pain. It is a huge pain.
Very much so.
So I'm really happy for you guys being able to kind of alleviate that, and hopefully now you can just hold on to this thing. Now the initial plan you had going into it, you can just execute it, and it will work out just as well as you guys initially planned.
Yeah, and actually on that note, it's actually going better than our original plan, because our original plan was to go from, like the 600 $1,800 rent range to like the 1,1300, and now we actually just placed a new tenant about a week ago in our one of our renovated units for 1,500. So
For a one bedroom.
we're actually quite for a one bedroom in
Man,
Dartmouth. Yeah.
it's ridiculous. I was talking to a friend of ours, Cam. Cam has a building in a better part of Dartmouth, downtown Dartmouth, but 1950 he's getting for his one bedrooms
Yeah.
there. Rent's just getting ridiculous here in Halifax, and that goes hand in hand with mortgage rates and the cost of everything. You know, the the cost of things just get pushed down the ladder, and unfortunately, tenants have to pay the cost of that, and it's sad. I'm not saying this is a great thing. This is, you know, it's kind of unfortunate for the economy, but it's the reality.
And you can either fight it or you can try and manipulate it in your favor, and that's really what a lot of real estate investing is. So
No,
yeah.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, we could have a whole episode on how to deal with that, but we'll leave that for another time. I guess in my world, you know, I was just in Ottawa last week. I was getting trained by Alfonso Quadra and a few people there about how to become a coach in the Wealth Genius program. And I remember I was telling you and Janelle last week before I went, you know, I was a little hesitant, but like after the training, just what I've learned in that 2-day training, it was so much. Like I feel like my mind's grown. Now I'm quite excited, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see, especially, you know, the coaching that I've received over the years. Like it's crazy, right? How much a mentor and a coach can expand you and help you grow. And now being able to offer that to others will be pretty cool. It's like having like little kids almost, you know, watching your kids grow up over a year and then letting them fly off and go buy real estate.
Oh, absolutely. Even in like the setting where like we do the like the podcast meetups, like weekly meetups, it's like from when we first started doing that, and again, not me watching you grow up, but growing up with you in the States, but to see like some of the guys in that, some of the ladies in that, like buying houses, like you know, shout out to Kevin. He's pretty much done his first duplex, and I forget how old Kevin is. Pretty fresh out of university,
Man,
and
he's
it's
like
like, man, if I had a group
21,
like
22, and there's no way he's much older than that. Yeah.
no, it's crazy. So it's like to see like people like actually go out and succeed with this stuff. Like it's awesome. And again, it's like, not that we're necessarily like directly coaching him or mentoring him, but like just being around us. But like any question, he'll call me. We have a weekly call actually. But like again, to like just like see people grow and like do some of this stuff. Like yeah, it's super rewarding.
Yeah, it's
So.
great. And like Kev's like, I'm passing him deals of 12 units. He's underwriting them. Like, it's like if I had the kind of network that we have here in Halifax when I was 21, God knows where I'd be. I wouldn't be in Halifax right now. That's
Oh
for
my.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But besides all of that, I guess we can jump into it. Ian, so you were telling me about this deal. I'll let you explain it, but it seems pretty friggin' sweet. Why don't you just go ahead and explain
Yeah.
it to our listeners?
Yeah, so been working on it. It's kind of one of those you got to move fast on it type deals. So it was a bit of a situation with a distressed seller, but a slightly different asset class than what you would think. So the house that I just closed on yesterday, this is about August 11th. So by the time this episode actually comes out, we'll have some pictures on our Instagram on Refined Real Estate NS, so you can see what it is. But what it is a very large single family house right on Quinpool, just off of like Connaught. And yeah, basically it's a big house, but the actual house is on 3 separate PIDs. So with that, actually, one of the PIDs is a full vacant lot there. So and that's some really prime real estate. So this all transpired through me actually working with the Blake Wilson team. So again, I've gotten quite close with Blake. He sees some of the projects that we're doing. He knows that this type of project was right up my alley. And they had a client who was really in. He basically got bad advice from another broker, which left him in a bit of a poor situation financially for trying to expand and grow some of his projects. So he had to pick basically, do you want to go do this larger project or do you want to finish this current project, which is the house that I ended up purchasing? So basically it was, Ian, if we can go in and we can close this thing in like 2 weeks, basically you can get this thing at a really good price. So that's what we did, and that's kind of the overview of the story. So some of the particulars on the deal. So he was about to list it, but we said, we can move forward, we can close on all this stuff. So what the deal is purchase price was 1.32 million. And just the house alone, so we had to get appraisals for lending and all that stuff, but just the house alone appraised for about 1.4, and the vacant lot beside it appraised for about 650. So just right there, it if all goes well, and again we are in a weird market, so don't know if we'll actually get full appraised value and all that stuff, but basically looking like, if all goes well, will have gotten a free piece of land on Quinpool just for going through the motions, doing all this work to the house. Now, the house, again, has already had a lot of major updates, but it's an unfinished project. So there's still probably about $100,000 worth of renovations to go into it just to finish things. So, for example, like it's got brand new nice cabinets in, but it doesn't have countertops. It's got a brand new shower in, but it doesn't have a glass surround. It's got some floors that are like 100% finished, and then some other floors that, we still got to do some flooring or subflooring or whatever it might be. So that's really the play there, is to, over the next, say, month or two, go in, finish that house, sell it. Even if we break even on that, that's all fine, because we get a nice free piece of land out there. And so with the plan with the land, so might just sell it straight up, or, might even be able to sell this whole parcel, because you could knock the house down, build a 12-unit building there. You could do, townhouses along it. There's a bunch of different options there. So we're just closing on it now. So now we've been in the research phase. We're going to see if there are people interested that just want to buy it as is. But then we're also going to move ahead. I think the best plan would be to just finish the house and then sell the vacant land off. So also going to put the plans together to build on that vacant land. So you could probably do, or you could certainly do a duplex there. And then our thoughts being that you could actually put an unfinished basement in there. So when the rules change here, like they have in many parts of Canada, that you can basically build, a 3-4 unit building on pretty much anywhere. It'll already be fitted with everything. So you can just go right in, do that type of thing. So ideally hoping to find an investor, and ideally VTB a good chunk of that land to them, so it's just more of a viable project. So yeah, do some seller financing and maybe just do interest only payments on it, for get 25% down on the land, get interest only payments for a few years, which is a nice way to get some cash flow. And then when they finish their project, refinance, and away they go, then get the bulk of the money there. So that's the high level.
Man, that's awesome. I got some stuff to unpack. So the first thing, how you got the deal. I think this is how I think people need to take this in, because we've said it a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it. It's because of the network. It's because you know Blake. You work with Blake. He spoon-fed you this deal. If this was a year ago, this deal would not have fallen on your lap, because you didn't know Blake. Right? Or you may have known him, but you didn't work closely with him.
Yep.
So I think our listeners need to really take this deeply. I want this to sink into your hearts, that the more people that you know, and the more people that know what you're doing, and that you're able to, take down deals, finish them, the more opportunities will come your way, like this one. This is going to make you a lot of money. Do you have investors on board?
Yeah, so have an investor on board, which just so happened to also meet through Blake. So, a lot of this was just being capable of able to pull a deal off like this, and also obviously qualifying for the loans and all that stuff as well. But, being able to have crews that can go in, finish this thing up nice and quick, and away we go. So, yeah, basically, yeah, brought a partner on. They're putting up all the money for it. So I basically just have to go do the work. So they brought the down payment, they brought any of the renovation fees, and basically from there, yeah, it's no money out of pocket, and I just have to go do the
No,
work.
this is sweet, and this is a great deal for your investor. That this is going to make them a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
money,
yep.
which kind of brings me back to another point. So obviously, we're focusing on multifamily. That's like our thing, and multifamily, the passive income that we get from that, it makes you money slowly. Like you're
Yeah.
guaranteed to get rich, but like eventually. Whereas I think it's super important to have some other active source of income like this. And not when I say active source, that could be your day job, sure, whatever. But like I mean more so something that can make you a lot of money for not that much time. I'm sure you're gonna put time into this but it'll be like high level like ideas. Like you put this deal together, you'll put the team together, but it's not like you're not going to be there swinging the hammer every single day. And it might take,
No.
I don't know, 3-4 months or whatever. But then like on the back end of that, how much money you're going to make is going to be a lot of money,
Yeah.
right? So it's something people need to be cognizant of. Whereas while you're building up your passive real estate portfolio on the side, having something like this on the side, making you like active cash and a lot of it, it's super
Yeah.
smart. And yeah, I don't know. I think everybody should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I can attribute it too to like just the experience that I've had. Like, I know a lot of times when you're listening to podcasts or motivational speakers or whatever it might be, a lot of it is like pick one niche and just like go after that. And I think you can get a lot of success in that. And I think over time that's definitely going to help. But I think throughout my real estate investing, like I've been fairly well rounded. So I've done flips, I've done wholesales, I've done short-term rentals, long-term rentals, deals here, deals away. So I'm pretty well versed in that sense. So the fact that I've already done, a handful of flips, I'm familiar with the construction side of it, and that's what a good chunk of this project is for just going in, finishing the house, but then also having the other toolkits in the tool bag of like, say I do seller finance this piece of land when it's all said and done. It's like that's stuff that I've been listening to for a long time. I've offered it to sellers, all that type of stuff, but this is a situation where if I agree to those terms with someone, yeah, I'm fine to take that money over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it might be. And then so again, having a fairly diverse background in multiple facets of real estate, I think it's put me in a position here where we can really succeed on this deal. We're still very much so dialed in on all the US stuff, but yeah, it's nice to see opportunities like this come around as well. So
Big time. And also the fact that you have so many different exit strategies is so important, because if this deal only made sense, like you could only you sell it once solely a flip. Like this would be like a luxury flip. There's some risk in that. Like you said, the market interest rates could go up. People might want to spend 1.5 million on a house, but like you said, that separate land and like the opportunity to build on it, the VTB it. There's just so many ways out that you've insulated yourself from some of that risk, and I think the listeners should really take that into consideration whenever they take on whenever they take on bigger projects like this. You need to have backups to your backups to your backups. Worst case scenarios, especially if you're taking on investor cash, because this is not your money you're losing. This is somebody else who's trusting you with hundreds of thousands of their hard-earned money. So you need to have plans in place if it doesn't go well. And this deal seems to have quite a few solid backups in case the first one doesn't work out.
absolutely.
No, I'm excited. I can't wait to see this one come to life. We need a walkthrough. We should do like a YouTube video or something of us just going through.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, came with a little caveat. So the current owners, they were living in it. So I've got them. They're going to be living there for it's about another 2 weeks or so. So after that, we can really do a proper walkthrough. So again, it was like we got to close on this quick. They didn't want they couldn't pack up their whole life in the amount of time we started the negotiations to closing this deal. So yeah, gives them a good chunk more time to hang out, and happy to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, again, it's to the possibilities with this deal, yeah, of course I'm going to let them stay and not, force them out. And, it's again trying to create a win-win with them here. And yeah, and again, they bought it for a decent price probably 3 years ago, so they made a good chunk of money on it. It certainly left meat on the bone for me to go and try and maximize the potential of this thing. But again, win-win.
What if they don't leave? Have you thought about that?
Well, it's in the contract. Like that's not like a handshake
Okay.
deal. It's like, okay, well, now I'm back to half the tenants in most of my buildings.
So
So
if they don't leave, it's not like a tenancy issue. Now this is like a legal issue. It would
no,
have
it
still.
would no, it would be a
Oh man,
tenancy
could you
issue.
imagine if you had to? If you had to?
Oh yeah,
If you,
very much so. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
but
assuming they wouldn't do that.
again,
They just. I'm
yeah,
sure they have a lot of money.
and again, yeah, and but again, even for the next like 2 weeks before we're even really inside. So all I really want to do is I did like the preliminary walkthrough of it. Now we're just setting up the time to come back so we can order the things that we know are going to take a little while. Get that off to the races. But now for the next 2 weeks, really can like price out a build for the vacant land. So that I want to now be able to spoon feed someone else. Like, hey guys, here's the build. Here's the rough design of that. Here's all the costs. This is what you'll be able to refinance it at and do all this stuff. And then, hopefully be able to do the mortgage brokeraging on that deal once they go from there. So could win from a standpoint of, hey, we're going to VTB, then I'm going to do your financing for you. Then, you're off to the races. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Is there any appetite for you to sell the house once it's done and take the profits with your investor and do the build yourself?
Yes and no. I think like my investor, wicked guy, but he's got a few properties, but not much. So he was kind of keen for it. But again, I shut it. I basically just communicated like, it's like, listen, we could build a duplex here in Halifax that's not going to cash flow. Yes, we're going to get nice appreciation, all that stuff. Or we can go buy down in the States and get
Way more.
for, probably $1 million for a duplex here, million plus. Why don't we just go down to the States and buy stuff and away we go there? So, it crossed the mind a bit. And then there's also the thought of, hey, just ripping or tearing the house down and building like 18 units there. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. It's such a beautiful house that it's like financially it might make sense, but I think a part of my soul might die if I rip down a house that
What
nice.
part of Quinpool?
Just
For
to
our
go.
Halifax list, roughly. You don't have to tell us exactly.
Yeah, so right the corner of like Connaught and
Okay,
Quinpool.
that's a good spot. Man,
Yeah.
an apartment would look pretty good there.
It would, and like that's the I don't know. Like again, I just knew right off that there was a lot of value in the deal, so I just moved forward and was like ready to go, and still just poking around with a number of different options. So right now, the thought being with the current plan is that is the highest return for the least amount of effort. So yes, again, could go through demolition, do all this stuff, build a big 12 unit building, but like the amount
It's
of
a lot of work.
like hold ups and the amount of everything that's involved with that, it's like, is that worth it? I'm sure in like 30 years I'll be looking back and kicking myself and all this stuff, but it's like, no, it's like, why don't we do that, or do the current plan, and yes, make that money, and then can take that money and go reinvest it in the States where we've already identified. We already have teams down there. We like what we're doing. We like, the growth that we're seeing down there. And like, yeah, again, I guess that's another update with, I guess we can go over with some of the Cleveland stuff, but like we are like killing our expectations on what we originally were targeting for rents and stuff down there. So again, yes, I love Halifax. I am super stoked on this project, but in terms of maximizing the versus what the headache it would be there, I think it's let's go in, make the not a quick buck, but the less stressful
No,
buck.
that's valid, and it just goes to show like there's still another exit if you want. Like if something happens
Yeah.
along the way and you're like, you know what, I want to build this guy, and then you decide to do it. It'll still be profitable that way. But I see where you're coming from. A quick turnaround, a large profit, and then you can go reinvest that money into other projects quicker. Yeah, that's a good one. I agree with that. That's probably what I would do too, especially if you said it's a quick buck, but it kind of is quick, and it's like it's many bucks. It's not just one, So it's a
quick
quick
bucks.
many bucks. So that's awesome, man. I think I'm sure we'll have many more chats about that in real life, and then also on this pod, and we'll be able to keep the people in the loop on how that project goes. But all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast, where Ian talked about his really exciting deal going on here in Halifax, where hopefully him and his investor will make a bunch of cash. We'll definitely follow the journey of that deal over the next few months, and we'll keep you guys updated. But in the meantime, again, I thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, on Instagram. You can reach us all out on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. My @ is Manny Schiff. I have a little social experiment over there where I'm just posting twice a day, every single day, just whatever comes to my mind. So if you want to hear unfiltered views of me all day, every day, TikTok is the place. All right. Thank you for listening. See ya.